Welcome, everyone. Today, we are digging into a question that I think drives a lot of us crazy. Why is it that a team can have all the talent in the world and still fail spectacularly? We're going to break down a fantastic book review that might just have the answer. Seriously, think about it for a second. Have you ever been in that situation? Maybe at work, maybe in a sports league. You look around the room and see nothing but superstars. People who are the best at what they do. But when you all try to work together, it's just a complete disaster. So why does this happen over and over again? Well, our friends over at the YouTube channel Book Lovers Unite recently did a deep dive on a book that gives us a kind of answer key. The book is called Destination Unstoppable, and it offers a really powerful way to think about and fix these broken team dynamics. To really get the solution, though, we have to start with the problem. In this book, it's not just theory. It's based on a real-life, high-stakes story of a team that was in total chaos. So let me introduce you to the Cranbrook Kingswood hockey team. I mean, look at this. On paper, they were an absolute dream team, just loaded with raw talent and skill. They should have been winning everything. But in practice, it was a nightmare. We're talking constant infighting, little cliques everywhere, and absolutely zero trust. They were losing games they had no business losing. So the coach, at his wit's end, brings in the author of the book, Maureen Electa Monte, to figure out what on earth is going on. And her diagnosis? Well, it had nothing to do with hockey skills. It was all about the science of why teams fall apart. Her core idea is something she calls the human motor theory. It's pretty cool. The idea is that we all have this internal energy, right? But what gets our motor running is different for everyone. For some of us, it's all about competition. For others, it's building strong relationships. And for some, it's about deep strategic thinking. We're all wired differently. And what happens when you just throw all these different motors onto one team without anyone understanding how they all work? Well, you get chaos. You get what she brilliantly calls the bumper car effect. This right here just nails the whole issue. Instead of acting like a fleet of high-performance racing Ferraris, all moving together, in sync, towards the finish line, the team members were just a bunch of bumper cars, constantly crashing into each other, going in circles, and wasting all that amazing talent and energy. The goal, obviously, is to get everyone driving in the same direction. So the million-dollar question is, how do you do that? How do you actually turn those bumper cars into Ferraris? Well, Monte didn't just diagnose the problem. She brought in a specific three-step framework to totally rebuild the team's culture from the ground up. Here are the 3 stages. First, everyone has to take a hard look in the mirror. Second, you create something called a team map to see what you're working with. And finally, you add the secret ingredient, emotional glue. Let's break down exactly what that means. Okay, step 1, look in the mirror. This is so crucial. Every single player took the CliftonStrengths assessment. This tool identifies what your natural talents are. And by doing this, it took all the emotion and finger-pointing out of the equation. Suddenly, what used to be dismissed as a personality clash became an objective insight. A player who seemed quiet and disengaged wasn't being difficult. The data showed he was just naturally high in intellection. He was a deep thinker. This one shift in language changed everything. Next up, the team map. Once they had all that individual data, Monte put it all together to get a picture of the team as a whole. And wow, the results were crystal clear. This team was stacked with people who were amazing at influencing others and getting things done. But they had a huge, glaring weakness. They were critically low in relationship-building skills. And this metaphor just perfectly sums it up. Think about it. They were a team of powerful, high-performance Ferraris, all horsepower, all speed. But they had no oil in the engine. All that incredible talent was just grinding gears, creating friction, because they didn't have the empathy or connection to work together smoothly. This brings us to the third and maybe the most powerful step in the whole process. It's summed up perfectly by this quote that the Book Lovers Unite review pulled out: "Vulnerability is a performance enhancer." See, data by itself isn't enough. So Monte created these sessions where these tough hockey players actually opened up and shared their personal why they play the game, what they're afraid of, what motivates them. And that vulnerability, that created the trust, the emotional glue that had been missing all along. For the first time, they started fighting for each other instead of against each other. Okay, so we've got the framework. It sounds pretty amazing in theory, right? But the big question is, did it actually work? And what did the reviewer over at Book Lovers Unite think about the book as a whole? The result was, well, it was absolutely stunning. In just 6 weeks, let me say that again, 6 weeks,
This totally dysfunctional, losing team turned themselves into the state champions. It's just an incredible testament to the power of aligning human energy.
So, the reviewer at Book Lovers Unite gave a really balanced take. On the plus side, they love that the book is super readable. It feels like you're following a real sports story, and it's filled with practical exercises you can actually use. On the other hand, they pointed out that if you're not a big fan of sports metaphors, it could get a little repetitive. And the whole system does rely pretty heavily on that one specific assessment tool.
So what's the big lesson here for all of us? I mean, how can you take this and actually apply it in your own work, on your own teams?
Here's what I think is the most practical lesson. A lack of clarity is a huge source of anxiety and wasted energy on any team. When you start defining people's roles based on what they're naturally good at, their actual strengths, instead of just a generic job title, you unlock so much performance. It's like you finally stop asking a fish to climb a tree and just let it swim. But if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, please let it be this. Talent is not enough. It's just not. A team of superstars who aren't aligned and don't trust each other will lose to a cohesive team of average players almost every single time. That culture, that connection, that's the real secret weapon.
And that brings us to a fantastic question that the team at Book Lovers Unite posed. We really want to hear from you on this one. Have you ever been part of a super team that just completely imploded? Why do you think it went wrong? Drop your story in the comments below. We'd love to read them. I really hope you found this breakdown useful. If you did, it would be awesome if you could hit that like button. And for more amazing deep dives into books that can change the way you think, you have to go check out the Book Lovers Unite channel and hit subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.